Well, hello everybody. We're about to begin. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Sorry if you heard a little bit of an echo, just making sure my audio and everything was working like it should be. And I think we should be ready to rock and roll here in just a sec. Maybe. Hey, I gotta raise the camera a little bit here. That's something I meant to check earlier on and I forgot because I'm dumb. So hopefully that will work a little bit better there. So welcome one and all. This has been kind of a pain to get to this stream here, but a little bit of an explanation as we wait for folks to come on in here. So want to do something really cool. I've got a couple little auxiliary cameras I wanted to set up there and there to give you different looks and whatnot. Every time I tried to go ahead and utilize them, their drivers basically made my computer crash. So you get this shot here. So down here, this is just so I can keep an eye on chat and everything. But what are we doing here tonight? This is the new Creality K1C 3D printer. And we've been doing a lot of 3D printing stuff that we've been talking about on the channel. So I wanted to go ahead and put everything together. Not really put it together, but assemble it here on a live stream. So let me see here, having a slight issue. Give me just a moment as I apologize for the gleam off the top of my dome. As I do see there is someone here. Trobot, hey, ask one of the friends if they know if Xenocrisis runs on the Mega Retron. I can try. I don't know. I honestly don't know anyone who has it. So as far as Xenocrisis that goes, as far as the Mega Retron, I know a couple of people. Honest recommendation, reach out to Hyperkin over on Twitter. Terrence and the team that runs their socials, great group of people, would definitely get back to you. So again, we are here tonight to talk about the K1C, and about 3 or 4 months ago, I want to say, we did a very similar unboxing and setup of the K1, and there are some minor differences between the K1C and the K1, which we will delve into. And this was something that was provided for the channel free of charge from the team over at Sain Smart. Got to give them a huge shout out. They have been terrific supporters in the last 6 to 12 months here of the channel. Really appreciate everything that they've done to support us. They've sent us the K1, the Ender 3v3, and now the K1C. If you have questions as I go along and do this, please don't hesitate to let me know. Now, this is what's called a Core XY printer. And what that means is that essentially it is capable of much higher speeds than a lot of the older systems that are out there. It's also it's self-contained. The others kind of were, but they're more of an open frame to them. And the thing about this is, from box to printing, if we weren't doing the stream and I wasn't taking the time, about 20-30 minutes. So we're just diving into the box here, and inside the box we've got some cardboard bits. And if you have questions, like I mentioned as we're going along, please leave them in the chat. I do have a tablet here where I am keeping an eye on it, and do have my other screen over there. I'm really disappointed that the other little camera setup tricks that we wanted to do didn't work on here. Nice padding here as for shipping and whatnot, to make sure that the top of the system doesn't get damaged. Here is our installation guide. On the back we do have some decals and stickers too. This is the lid for the top of the printer. One of the reasons too, the other unboxings and setups that I've done, I've actually done in that room over there with my other printers. I've got fluorescent lighting in there that tends to play havoc and really do like a lot of strobing and flashing on the screen. So I figured we'd bring things in the game room. Plus, I've got several printers printing right now as we are getting ready to attend Korg's, the Columbus, Ohio Retro Gaming Expo. We will be there, so looking forward to that. My first time there. Let's see now. The entire printer is in basically one big bag, so we're going to go ahead and lift this guy up and hopefully not knock anything else over, as it is about a 25-pound beast. I'm going to set this down here for a sec. I don't think... Nope, there's nothing else inside of this, so there we go. That's where my water went. I wonder where the heck I put it. And at this point, I'm sorry if I'm showing you my hinder, not intentional. We are going to debag our K1C. And the beautiful thing about this, like I say, this is how it came. You saw, this is how it comes out of the box. So there's very little final assembly that has to go on here for me to be able to use this. There's some foam in the top to help protect the print head and whatnot as it ships. Inside this box of foam, we do have our power cord. We have, what is this? This is door handle installation diagram. So we'll have to install the door handle on here. You know, I'll toss the pieces of foam over there. What do we got here? This is, that looks like a filter for inside the print area. And then we've got another box with some foam. Now, if you are interested in 3D printing, I've talked about a number of machines here in the past. I love the fact that I can design and print stuff that I need for here in the game room myself, and I don't have to turn to, you know, third parties or Etsy. But if you want to turn to a third party, how you doing? You know, I do offer a lot of the stuff that you see me on the channel with on our 3D printer store, on our Etsy store and more. They do include a, this is a small spool of 3D printer filament. Now, Sain Smart has sent me some of their TPU, which is a flexible sort of filament to utilize, which we're going to talk about the filaments this works with in a few moments. Comes with a urethra cleaner. No, this is a nozzle cleaner. Comes with an assortment of tools. There's some Allen head screws in here as well. A nozzle tool and more. Couple more screws. Is that magnet? It looks like a magnet with adhesive on the back side. Now this is interesting. They actually include a glue stick, and the reason why this is interesting is on 3D printers, there's a couple of different type of print beds you can go with. The more smooth the print bed is, the more likelihood you're going to need to use glue. I generally like to use a textured build plate called a PEI plate. I just find that they work really, really well. Oh, I'm glad that I really like their snippers that they include with their printers. Hey, Kronos, how's it doing? It has been a while. Depression sucks, what can I say? Do have a nice set of snippers in there. And some additional tools. Bed scrapers, so if you have little bits of filament that stick to your bed, you can scrape them off with that. Nice TV. Yeah, this is, my goodness, this is 9 years old now? 9 or 10 years old. Samsung 4K TV. This is a little box of lube. How you doing? For the linear guide rails and whatnot inside the printer. Wrench to hold the nozzle, and we're going to talk about why that's important in a little bit. USB drive, and what this has is out of the box. This is where they have preloaded models onto, and there is a USB port here, which we'll show you as well. Spank the like button. Yep, do appreciate that. Okay, we're also next. So on my original K1, I broke this little chain mounting post trying to get this piece of foam out. We're going to try not to do that, just like that. See what I did there? All I did is I moved that X-ass forward, and we got that piece of foam out. They really do a nice job of packing this for shipping, especially considering it is an all-in-one unit. I'm going to turn this way just so I can see it. And we've got some strapping young man tape here. Graphics gear, duty. You need a new computer, Kronos. Sorry to hear that. You know what? Unless you're doing a lot of like intense stuff, look at a decent tablet. I love my Samsung Galaxy S7, and my wife has an S9. Amazing tablets. Really, really like them. The other thing, the Surface tablets, like this one here, really like that one too. Let's see. You have tabs. Okay. How can you have a tab if you don't order anything yet? Name the movie. Let me know too. My mic, is it too loud, too quiet? The music too loud, too quiet? It's got some GameCube music going in the background. I figured it'd be a nice ambiance. Back to the Future is correct. All right, so here's one of the funniest things ever, and I can see myself having done this in the past. So there is a brilliant 3D printer out there, and he's also a YouTuber. His name is Uncle Jesse. Check his channel out. He's got great stuff. So Uncle Jesse got the big brother of this, the K1 Max. And as we peel that off, that's one of the most satisfying things out there. So he was opening the door of the K1 Max, and he let it fly open, and he broke it during his assembly live stream. Yeah, that sucks. Hey, so what do we have here? Or is this just... That's just foam for packing. That is just foam for packing. You know what I have not seen yet? Oh, because it's right there. The included touchscreen display. Can't drive. Mic is fine. All right, thanks, Krillin. Hey, Nostalgia Retro Gamer, welcome. I appreciate you. You like Mr. Fusion? That's great. So, and then finally, the last thing we're going to dig out of here is the build plate. And I'm disappointed to see this, but I think I recall seeing this. So the build plate on here is a smooth build plate. The reason why that's significant is, one, we'll have to use the glue that we mentioned earlier. Two, this actually has a set of rubber nubs on the back that is used to clean the nozzle before it actually starts printing. I have not seen another print bed that has these on there. Rumor is you can use a standard print bed though without this, and it's not going to harm anything. Let's see here. I'm going to toss that back in and go through the last final things here. Ruben's here. Thank you. He's been a channel member for 26 months. I appreciate you and everything that you do to support us here. All right, so let's go ahead and let us get into the manual here. You're slow? Well, I mean, you are Klingon, so there is that. I mean, you're not Kurogan, so there is that. So they have a quick installation guide, which I wonder how quick it actually is. For me personally, I don't care about the decals, so we're going to pitch those. Qualified certificate. That's what this says. Qualified certificate. Qualified for what? Who knows? Poor Kurogan Klingons. That's right. After sales service card, which doesn't mean much. I've had some after sales issues with this and or with other Creality machines. The K1 and the Ender 3 V3, I had some print head issues, and I reached out to Creality for some support, and because I've been sent the units for review, I ain't got no warranty. Thanks, Creality. So, all right. The thing that's funny, too, is they have the unboxing in here after I've already unboxed it, so that's fantastic. Remove power cord. Okay, there's all that stuff. It's coming, Darren. I'm frustrated about a lot of things. Life is not fun right now, so there's that. So first things first, out of what we have here is we do need to go ahead and what is a flat Darren? Yeah, we're not going to get into that. I would like to question you at some point. Not question, but learn from you as far as like some of your beliefs on there and kind of, like I say, just get better perspective and understanding. No criticism, no, not just like, if I ask you this, what's your answer to it? That's all. No, not an interrogation. Just, I seek to be less stupid. Let's just put it that way. And that could be a lot of seeking. Maybe some destroying, but mostly seeking. Let's install the door handle on the front as shown in the diagram. So we put your right foot in, put your right foot out. Okay. Let me double check here too. Okay, those are Allen head screws, and I actually have, so like I mentioned, these actually come with a rudimentary set of tools. These things suck. And the reason being, they'll get you up and running when you're starting out. But for the long term, they generally tend to be fairly soft for the metal, kind of like my head, a little bit thin, and not a whole lot of material there. And they round out after repeated use. So I use hardened steel tip Allen wrench drivers like from Dynamite or from Sportworks. My old ones are from Sportworks. MIP makes great ones too. So I'm going to set my mouse back behind me because everything is going okay now over there where I've got the screen set up. Let's see. Yes, it is Twitter to many people. I would agree with that. Okay. So are there? Yep. So there's a couple small plastic spaces, probably too small for you to see on camera. Again, this is why I kind of wish my setup that I was trying to get working earlier tonight. I worked on it for several hours tonight, and every time that I tried to connect my two side cameras to get the close-ups and whatnot, system crashed. The system went down. The system went down. Do do do. Do 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 do. And just remember, Trogdor comes in the night. Because when else is he going to come? Got MIP set. They are awesome. Yes. So, little unknown thing for a lot of people about MIP. Eustace Moore, who is the founder of MIP, amazing guy. Just really a wonderful engineer. Would put Mr. Scott to shame, I would say. But he actually, in addition to making RC tools, which I just dropped something, and I have to come over here because I'm a dummy. In addition to making RC tools, he actually makes stuff for NASA. So he is I don't know that you would call him a rocket scientist, but rocket surgeon? So we're going to bring this. So interesting part about these screws is the fact that they are a coarse thread, not a machine thread. So when they go into the door handle here, is a 3D printer going to make a flat... Dude, there's no need for that, man. Like, I can respect other people's beliefs, even if I don't agree with them. Like, don't be a pickle. I mean, even though he does call me Professor Bunsen Honeydew, which, I mean, there's no glasses tonight, so I guess that doesn't quite fit, does it, Darren? But, yeah, so this is interesting, too. I had a few people on my original K1 build video say that my K1 that I got for that had to have been repackaged or, otherwise was not brand new because I didn't have to put the door handle on. So I don't know if that's the case. I just know I had to do it. Let's see, Kronos, I believe in things that are all over my comprehension. Yes, that's true. Okay, next up, there is an air filter here that we have to put on. And I exist in the dark. And that basically goes on. That's the best Bane impression I can do, and it's not very good. And there is just a spot here for that filter to go onto. So one of the things about early 3D printing and about resin-based 3D printing is they do put off nasty odors. Some can be toxic. What I primarily print on this are two materials, PLA and PETG. PLA is, I believe it's corn-based, not porn, corn. So it will melt at a lower temperature and it doesn't have the noxious fumes. PETG, very similar. I don't remember. I think it's an organic filament as well, but I don't know exactly or remember exactly off the top of my head what it's made off of. But that's one of the things I like about it is that there's very few odors and whatnot to really worry about with PLA and PETG. Now, if you are printing with other materials, there may be ABS plastics you need to have a proper ventilation system with, and that's where having this filter built in is definitely important. Now, is that just a press fit or are there any screws? I see no screws, so that is good to know. Now, we're going to skip ahead one step to install this here. This is the filament spool, and this is one of the dumbest things about this machine. So prints beautifully, at least the K1 does. I don't know how the K1C does yet, but I will find out here in a couple of days. So the way the filament goes on, and I'll actually open up the filament that they include here, is that the filament goes on the back of the machine like so. Now, if I'm working on the front of the machine, I've got to reach all around to grab the spool to be able to either change it or check it, or, you know, there's no good way to keep an eye on this. You do have this here. We're going to turn this to you. This is called a filament runout sensor. And basically what this does for you is, if you, like the name implies, if you run out of filament through a filament runout sensor, this will pause the print, send you an alert on your phone or on your computer if you do have everything set up through Wi-Fi and networked, to let you know you've run out of filament for that print. Now, I believe on the thumb drive that they include on here, there is a side mount that you can print for this. I actually have one on my K1 that I will, if there's not one on here, I will definitely be printing for on here. And I did miss pulling this guy out here. Nice filament, yes. It's for those who have never seen 3D printer filament in person, the best way I can describe it is a little bit more brittle than what you would use for a string trimmer or a weed eater or something like that. I mean, it feels very similar to it, but you can snap this a lot easier. And where that has like a hexagon or an octagon sort of shape to cut through weeds and grass and stuff like that, this is fully round. This is a 1.75 millimeter diameter filament that we have on here that they include. I'm glad they include white. In the past, they've used like a snot green, and that's snot funny. See what I did there? It just, for me, the white I can actually use with a few things, whereas the green, unless I'm doing Xbox stuff, it really does not fit and work well. We're going to throw the lid on here. We are not calling a lid. 90% I always forget to pull that protective tape. Dave, so I work now with someone that you used to work with, Mr. Jake. He and I were talking about you the other day, and I was telling the story about how you insisted on going to Harold's Chicken to go get, was it chicken livers or gizzards, when they were downtown on campus. So I guess you and Jake and I and our coworker Dave need to get together for lunch sometime. So, and the lid goes on like so. Now, there are Allen head screws here and here, and there are small openings in the lid here, 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 here for this to key into. Now, one thing on the K1 that I have found is that and it looks like it will do it here too, this chain, this guide chain, and this Bowden tube will hit and rub on this. So probably one of the first things I will print, there are risers out there to rise this up, or make this higher, shall we say, so that way it doesn't rub on that drag link and chain and everything like that. Heck yeah, Dave is down for lunch sometime, so very cool. I will touch base with Jake tomorrow, which reminds me, I have to pull, he wanted to borrow some Sega CD games, so we will get those for him. He is not getting my copy of Sylphid, I will tell you that much. 5 to rise, yes. Okay. And the fun thing now at this point is essentially we have one thing to do, and the printer is ready for us to basically start printing, and that is install. It is Quackshot. Very good. Very good. I figured I needed something besides just a blank display back there. And I thought about having like my 3D printer camera going on here. Yeah. Quackshot rules. So with this, this is kind of a pain in the butt to do. But move our cleaner out of the way. Basically line everything up here. And this would be easier, A, if I had my glasses, and B, if this was a little bit longer. That's what she said. All right, they're snapped into place. And slide this down. There's that side. Come on, you. Let's try that one more time. There we go. Ended up getting a Stellar HD. It's waiting for me to pick up at the post office, so I'll be installing that this week. Was that for the Xbox, Dave? Dave Whit. So this is essentially ready for us to print, even though we've got a huge manual here. I want to make sure I'm not missing out on anything. So a couple things here. This that I thought was a magnet actually goes inside of the cover. So we'll get that. Okay, and it does say here in the manual, note for a different user experience in loading resin. It's not resin, it's filament, guys. Wrong type of printer. Let's see, you can use the supply G-code file to print the material barrel holder and then install it on the side of the machine as shown in the figure above. Use 3 material rack screws to lock it in place. Screw holes have been pre-drilled in the side. I probably can't see it, but calls it out right there. What is a code? G-code is basically the type of code that a 3D printer will read. Let's see. That's weird the way that this is showing that you just install this on one side. That don't make no sense. All right, so we're on here. And if that's the back, it's telling me to put it there. Why? I don't know. Okay. There are some extra screws and whatnot included. I think that's for the side mount. I do want to double check that there are no additional screws that need to be loosened up inside the print bed to go ahead and, yes, there are. There are 3 inside the print bed that we need to go ahead and undo. I generally like going down from the top to do this. And what it does, and I'm going to open up the door here though so you can see it. So the print bed here will raise and lower while the print head here goes forward, back, side to side. On other printers, what happens is the print head will go side to side, the print bed will go forward to back. The reason for this sort of change is that it allows better precision, better control, better isolation of vibration, and which will give it more overall speed. So that's one of the biggest improvements on printers, even just since I've gotten into it, versus this one here. Like the original Ender 2, it could only print at like 30 to 50 millimeters a second. 3 to 600 millimeters a second. So much, much faster and just an overall crisper design. Now, one of the things too is they have changed the nozzle design on this versus the standard K1. So the K1, the original one, came with a nozzle setup like this, and that butted up against the bottom of the extruder. And then there was a piece of, it's called PTFE tubing. It almost looks like a straw, basically, that would go between the bottom of the extruder that feeds the filament in and the top of, this is called the heat break. And what they have done is they've gone to this design, which eliminates that PTFE tube and gives us an all metal throughput to the nozzle from the extruder. The reasoning behind this, PTFE tube will wear out over time. This white that you see here, this is called PTFE tubing. That's the tubing I'm talking about. As the filament travels through it, it just wears down over time. This Creality is saying you can get over 1,000 hours of printing on without clogs. I have clogged one of these on the Ender 3 V3, And at least on that machine, you can't get replacements of these right now, of the entire hot end, that is. This actually uses the same nozzle as the Ender 3 V3, and that's just this centerpiece here, the outside part with the different elements. That is something something that right now they just don't have readily available, which is kind of a pain in the ass. You can use the older design on there if you wanted to, and just replace or utilize the PTFE tube. It's just one of those of Creality, make these available. Now, this is actually direct replacement for this one, not for the Ender 3 V3. So the ones for these are available, just the Ender 3 V3 are not available right now. The other thing is they've gone through a number of different revisions on the extruder. The extruder is what basically, it has a set of gears on the back that takes the filament as it travels through here down into our nozzle and actually grips it and drives it down. The original one did not provide enough tension. So it will work great initially, but as the little teeth and whatnot on there would wear down, you'd get slippage as it went along. They have tightened up those tolerances so that you don't have that issue. They've also changed the materials a little bit to make sure that you're getting a better grip on the filament as it goes through, whether or not we're talking about PLA, PETG, carbon fiber stuff. Keep an eye out. On the 10th of April, I will be announcing several new products, and they will be utilizing carbon fiber materials. So that is something that, it's pretty exciting to get into. So the final steps on here for us to go ahead and get this rocking and rolling is there are basically hold down screws at 3 points here, here, and at the back, and that is a 2mm screw, I believe. And they actually have little yellow arrows that point to them. And this is another thing that makes me think that my K1 was a refurb, because that unit did not have these. Can I get it out, or do I need a tweezers, or am I not backed out enough? Ow, that hurt. Not a fan of metric. I've used it enough now at this point. Like, I was with you for years and years in RC. Everything was SAE. And then I started running the Tamiya Championship Series, and those cars were all metric, so I just got used to it. The bigger 8 scale stuff was all metric too early on, but that's because Kyosho was kind of the car to beat. Yeah, like Graphics Gear says. Oh, well, I'm screwed now. I dropped that one. See what I did there? There it is. Hey, it's the NES Addict. Make sure you check out his channel and visit him at the upcoming Southeast Game Exchange. I'm sure he will be there. I am not sure I will be there, but I am considering whether or not to go. It's money. Money is the issue on that one right now, so we shall go and see what we can do. The only ones that I have confirmed at this point is I will be at, doing that left-handed is not good and blind. I will be at the KorgsCon the first weekend in June, and then I will also be at the Utah Retro Game Swap, or Game Expo. They've changed the name this year. I don't remember what it was. I went there last year. Fantastic convention. Now they're going 2 days. It's Friday, Saturday. I will be there again. Really looking. Amazing people. Great crowd. Lots of good toys, too. Next time you come, I will kidnap you and bring you to my house. Unlikely, but that's okay. Actually, it won't be there this year because I will be in Ohio, but thanks for the kind words, okay? Pickles. I said pickles, so there's that. All right, so now at this point, realistically, we've released the bed. Oh, one other thing, there's a piece of foam here. What's a good beginner entry-level 3D printer? Any pointers for goodies or extras? Yes. Let me get this piece of foam out, maybe. I may have to power it on to do so. And I don't have an extension cord over here, so we're not going to do that. But there is one last piece of foam in here to get this up and running. Last final steps is to pair this to our Wi-Fi. So one of the really cool things is the fact that these are Wi-Fi enabled, and an improvement on this one over the K1, the original K1, is the fact that this actually includes a camera for inside the print chamber. On the K1, that was actually a separate accessory you had to pay like 30 bucks for. I will say Creality and Bambu have really been pushing the market in both terms of providing greater value at a lower price and providing better overall printers. I love the Ender 3 V3, even with the print head hot end issues that I had with it getting clogged. That's a fantastic printer. The Ender 3 V3, I forget if it's the SE or the KE, is a sub $200 system that will get you up and printing with faster speeds than what the older machines were, but not up to the same speeds as this, but you're also, less than half the cost of these here. For printing, I would start off with PLA. That tends to be the most forgiving. And if I can recommend a channel to watch, Filament Fridays or CHEP, CHEP, Chuck Hellebuck's Electronic Products, I think is what it stands for. Chuck's just, what I love about Chuck and the way he does his stuff is, not to toot my own horn, he reminds me of me in so much as he doesn't try to kill people with technobabble. Very plain spoken, very conversational. Like those of you who have hung out with me, that I try, like, I wish you were here because I'd be talking to you just like this too. Chuck is very much like that, very down to earth. I would not be to where I am in 3D printing right now without Chuck, and I've told him that. I'm a Patreon supporter of his, and he does good stuff. So check out his channel. He's done reviews on both the Ender 3 V3 SE and KE. What I like about those two is the fact that where I started with a printer from a company called ANET. It was called the ET4. It was a pain in the butt. Chris from Game Dad and I both bought machines at the same time, the exact same machine. He never got his working. It took me a while to get mine working, and I did okay with it. I wish I would have gone with my second printer first, and that was an Ender 3 Max. And that's what I printed with for a very long time. And then I did the monoprice voxel and the Jewel. I got the Ender 3 V3 Neo. I'm sorry, Ender 3 V2 Neo. It's too many acronyms. Ender 3 V2 Neo, the Ender 3 Max Neo. Those were my last two Creality printers that I got. And then I dove into the Bambu Labs printers, the P1P. Then I got the P1S. And then Sain Smart sent me the first K1, then the Ender 3 V3, and now the the Creality K1. Now, one benefit that the Bambu Lab printers have at this time is they can do that multicolor through what they call the AMS. Basically, it's a box that sits on top of the printer. You can do 4 different colors in one unit, and you can link up to 4 units, so you can do a max of 16 colors. Creality has their own version of that coming out that they've announced. I don't remember if it's coming in July or June. It's one of the two. No pricing information is out. I've already talked to the team over at Sain Smart to try to get my hands on one when those do come out. The beautiful thing is they have a new printer coming to go along with it called the K2 Plus, I believe is what it is. It's either K2 or K2 Plus. That multi-color filament unit will not only work with that machine, it's backwards compatible with this machine, with the K1, the K1 Max, the Ender 3 V3, and the Ender 3 V3, I think they call it a Plus, or they have a 300 by 300 millimeter large format printer. And that's something I haven't mentioned about this. So print bed size on this, it's the same as a Ender 3 V2. So, and I keep knocking off that chain, which I'm going to break that damn thing like I did on my first one. You know what we're going to do? We're going to put the lid on it so I don't break it, because knowing me, I will, and that will really make me angry. So this is a 220 millimeter by 220 millimeter print bed. Like I say, it's the exact same size as what the Ender 3 V2, V3, same basic smaller format. So that is one disadvantage of this machine over the Bambu Labs, is the fact that this is about 30 millimeters on each axis smaller than what the P1P or P1S is, or the A1. This is less expensive though. So I do have an affiliate link down below in the comments where you can go ahead and you can pick one of these up. Actually, in the description, not the comments. Sorry about that. I want to say it's $5.99, and there's, as of the time of this, I think they're running like a 5 or 10% off coupon. Check the product page; it'll have it on there. I do wish, just as we're wrapping things up here, because I'd have to show you close-ups of the screen and whatnot, and I'm not going to show you my Wi-Fi settings. Check out our Creality K1 unboxing video for all that, because it's going to be exactly the same. I do wish that they would have a PEI or a textured build plate that they included with this, or simply one available. When I went through and did my initial calibration on my K1, the nozzle came in and dug into my print bed, and that made that instantly unusable. Like I say, I've heard that other print beds that don't have this little rubber nozzle cleaner on it, they work just fine. It just doesn't clean the tip as well. And as we all know, it's important to have a clean tip. Now, I'm going to pull this back out. One other nice thing on the print bed is it does have these notches on here, similar to what the Prusa Mark IIIs have, to help make sure that the print bed is centered. That is one of the things that I like better about their print beds than like the Bambu ones, is the Bambu ones just, they don't align as well as these do. Now, for slicing software, what you actually use to send files to this, they recommend their own software called Creality Print. It works okay. I prefer a slicer called Orca Slicer, and that's the slicer. Like I say, it's basically what you get your code from what you've designed, and it slices it into layers and feeds it to the printer. Now, Orca Slicer is built off of Prusa Slicer. Prusa is just another manufacturer that's out there, and combine Prusa Slicer with Bambu Studio, which is what Bambu Labs uses for the K1C. I'm sorry, with the P1P, the P1S, the A1, and the A1 Mini. I just like the way it works better. I think the print quality is overall better on that. So let's see. I have a couple questions here. Print something. I will print something, and I will put it up on YouTube Shorts probably tomorrow, or Instagram tomorrow, Kronos. Just got to get something loaded. I'll probably do a Benchy, which is one of the normal calibration tools that we utilize for on this. Would love a Lab X1. Lab X1. I mean, a Bambu Labs X1 carbon. I would love a carbon as well. Let's see. Thank you, buddy. Great information. Look for. All right, awesome. South Park. What about South Park? Want to see some 3D printing in action? I think if I can, when I get a smartwatch paid off, I'll save up and get a Bambu Lab A1 3D printer. And you know what? Quite honestly, unless you need the multicolor, I would look at the Ender 3 V3. Especially the A1 with their recall issues that they've had. Yes, they've supposedly fixed them. I'm not confident in it, I'll just say. I have no reason to think that they haven't fixed it. I just know with troubles out of the gate like that, it gives me a reason for concern. Bamboo sheets from Kronos. Could make jokes. What were you planning on building for starters? So for starters on this, what I will be printing is, I will be printing the my Nestoration region free kits for the Super Nintendo. And if you haven't seen those, basically I came up with a kit that you can use Super Famicom games on a Super Nintendo. You don't have to cut the system. You don't have to slice it up or anything along those lines. It is a no-cut mod. That's one of the things, especially getting ready for Korgs in Columbus, Ohio. I'm going to have those on hand for people to go ahead and pick up. So this being a single color, that'll be great for that. I'll probably also use this for printing the backs on some of my LED light boxes that I have, such as my World of Nintendo signs that I do. So I'll have it do the plain backs since they're plain backs since they're black. Back in black. Yes, that's it. And then the fronts I'll end up doing on my P1P and P1S. That way I can divide and conquer, have one machine doing this piece while the others work on this. And since this is single color, I can't exactly do this on that. So that is something that we will be rocking and rolling on there. So overall assembly looks great. Hello Gary, how's it going? It's going. And I think to this point, that's going to wrap things up on our assembly. It's pretty simple and straightforward. I may actually even set up a stream later on, just feeding off the camera on here, showing the initial build. No audio, no commentary, just the build itself going. So keep an eye out for that. Make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We've got new stuff coming all the time. Trying to get back in the swing of it. It has not been easy. I will say that's been an issue. So we will be trying as much as possible. We have a new desk that I finished most of it. I've got to get the drawers done. My drawers are kind of hanging out right now. You don't want your drawers to do that, but need to get the drawers finished, and then we'll have that video hopefully Tuesday or Wednesday. I do have the new AverMedia like switcher dealio that we did the short on. I've got the Pixel controller from Hyperkin I need to do the unboxing review on. I've got stuff looking right there from Retrobit that I need to do an unboxing of. I've got 2 Game Boy Pockets that we're going to do case swaps and IPS mods and backlight mods, so lots of stuff coming. So kind of give you guys a 2-minute warning here before we sign off. Let me know if you've got any other questions. But overall, I mean, this is very much kind of what I expected, a K1 with, you know, the upgraded nozzle like what this one here has. A little bit more refinement in some of the pieces. The, you know, where the chain goes into the top of the print head, this is definitely more robust and rotates a lot freer than what the K1s did. I kind of like this piece or this file that I could print to throw onto my K1. I still hate the fact that they're defaulting you to having the filament holder on the back. That's dumb. That's just dumb. Give me the spool holder on the side. You asked what the first thing I'm going to print is? That's the first thing I'm going to print, is going to be that after I do all the calibration testing and whatnot on here. You know what? We're going to go through the calibration. To heck with it. Give me a second. We're going to get this plugged in, and we'll do the calibration because it's actually pretty neat to see when it actually does its thing. The thing is, if I've got an outlet close enough that I can tap into. That will be the question. Hey, Stu. I would like to say good to be seen, but that would be a lie. It's good to see you, though, even though I'm not seeing you. I'm just reading you. You read me? Are you picking up what I am laying down? So we're going to plug that in there. Actually, I have an outlet over here, don't I? I do. I do. Kids, don't try this at home. And that's why, because I didn't get it right. Tell you what. Have you, let me know while I'm getting this plugged up, have you ever thought about getting into 3D printing? Have you taken the dive and maybe got burnt in the past and decided it wasn't for you? Or why are you here? In the nicest way, why are you here? We're going to take this and we're going to move this around. This is just my monitor Surface tablet. Now, one thing too on this that I do like is the fact that it does have the kind of isolating feet is the best way I can describe it on it, so that should help reduce some of the issues from the vibration, installation, interrogation, litigation, Cajun. Let's see. Like in the movie The Mask, when that reporter got into the printing press. Okay, I guess I missed the reference. I'm sorry. I have the dumbs, which, I mean, kind of goes without saying, doesn't it? I has the dumbs. Now here's the question is, can I plug this in and have it reach? Oh, it's like Doc Brown. I'm just a little bit off the side. Don't worry, I'll pan the camera over. And hopefully you're not seeing my rear end hanging out, because ain't nobody want to see that. All right, here we go. Hi. So we're going to bring that in. Bring that there. Bring that there. Look at my little mini tower power. Isn't that cute? Tell you what. Dango, dango, shoot. Okay. So we will come and do the reach around. And I'm old and fat, so I'm going to sit down while I finish doing this in my auto full gaming chair. Hey, TechWiz, how's it going? Boy, ain't right at all. Tell you what, dango, dango, shoot. Okay, why am I not getting power here? I ain't got no power. Do I not have the... let's see if I don't have that in all the way. What am I messing up here? Well, that sucked. That was not supposed to happen. I promise you. Well, I didn't like those games where they were at anyway, so we'll redo them here in a sec. I ain't got no power. Oh, I know what the issue is. I know what the issue is, I think. I need to make sure that the voltage is set to 110 and not 240 volts. Where did I set the manual? Although, I don't recall having to set that in the past. But we shall see. Hopefully I don't fall flat on my arse. Let's see. I don't know. Why do I ain't got no power? Voltage select is on that side. We're going to unplug and replug after we set the voltage. I'm willing to bet that was the issue. Which also tells me that my K1 was a repack. I still ain't got nothing. Well, now this is just redonkulous. As I have games to trip over now. I need to grab my flashing light to see if that is indeed the issue, because I can't see. I eat well done steaks, so there is that. Let's see here which side the switch is switched to. Alright, we should be set to the correct side now. Ain't nothing wrong with the good, well done steak. I want that cow dead. Twice. Hey now! I'm an all-star. Get your game on. Go play. Let's see if I can't knock down more games, shall we? Let's see. The Super NES I have behind me, if you're talking about... Oh, did we lose the stream? Hang on here. Let me know if I lost the stream. Although, here, I can just do that. Okay. I think it's still going. So let me know. No, that is a Super NES Junior, and then I have a Super Famicom Junior off to the other side. So there is that. You know what we're going to do? I'm going to do this, and we're going to go live. Okay. Look at that ball dome. Tell you what. Thanks, Dave. Have you gotten your kit installed yet? I want to know how it went if you did. Yes, that over there is the... Let me lean back a little bit. That's the Famicom Junior, and then that's a Super Nintendo Junior. Okay, so we're going to select English for our language because I don't feel like a challenge. I did remove the 3 screws. Welcome to Creality 3D Print. We're going to see if I can't bring you in a little bit closer. Okay. Keep the cube in the diagram clear and click OK. I have read and I agree. Set up my network. I'm going to skip that for now. Time zone settings. I don't know. We are CST. Next. And they want you to select between mainland China and international. Welcome to the self-check process. Please place the printing platform. Okay, that makes no sense. Self-check process expected to take around 11 minutes. So I'm wondering here, can I get this sucker out in the meantime? Nope, I'm going to have to wait until it raises up to get the foam out of the back. So that's going to be fun. Super NES Junior over here, I love it. Hey, Monterrence, how you doing? So realistically, my hope is that this will go up to do the nozzle check and everything. And when that happens, I'll be able to get the foam out of the bottom. Now, one thing too is I have done no setup to this out of the box. It's going to do it all right now automatically. I'm going to back the zoom out a little bit so you can kind of see what's going on here. Watching one of these things go is just, it's a blast because of how fast these things fly as they go through and really crank things up. So now the print bed is raising, which should give me a second here. There it is. That was our last piece of foam that I had to get out of there. So what it's going to do is it's going to do a series of basically vibration and oscillation checks where it's going to bounce the print head left and right and then the print bed up and down. And what it's doing is it's basically going to compensate for vibrations that come through so that you don't get like ringing and artifacting as you print. This is one of the biggest advancements in 3D printing is this process here and what it does to compensate for all of that. Compensation. So basically there's kind of like a force feedback isn't quite the right term, but basically there's a sensor in the print head that basically reads when it's the print bed has basically hit it, for lack of a better term. Now you may not be able to see. I'm going to move my water bottle over here so you can kind of see. Hopefully it'll stop moving around here in a second for me just touching or moving the bottle itself, but it'll give you an idea of how much the print head is actually moving. It's doing so in finite movements. But here, I'm going to actually take the mic off and put it in the printer so you can hear it. So that's pretty much what it's going through, and it's just reading the vibrations of the system to compensate for it. So that's a really cool thing that it does. Now I will have to go through and do this setup again once I get it all set on my shelving unit that I have, just because the harmonics of this table are going to be different than that. Let's see. Last month I finally bought the Retrobit Origin 8 and I'm loving it. It's a great controller. Use it with the USB dongle on your Sega Genesis Mini, and I use it on my Hyperkin Retron 1. Terrific. And you use it on your original NES. That is, where do I have mine? I've got mine right here, so it is one of those. And feel free at this point, while the printer's doing its thing, we can kind of do an Ask Me Anything as well. So, like, here's my Originate. I think this is a great, great controller and has become my go-to default controller for the NES. So now it has, is working on, this is called input shaping, is basically what it's doing. I'm sorry if I took the prop away, but I was thirsty. Got 12 people watching right now. I appreciate you all coming by. Kind of a late night here to get a stream going. Like I mentioned earlier on, I had tried to actually get this stream going about 2 hours earlier, but I was having some computer issues where and I can show them to you here now while this is doing its thing. These are why'd you stop? Why did my switch power on? I don't know. That was weird. But I was trying to get these guys here going. These are from a company called eMeet Stream. And every time that I would connect these through OBS, my computer would crash. So there's something going on driver-wise that my computer just did not like. And these have been, like, I love the concept, but they have not been great in the execution. And now it's going through. You can see the print head itself is moving. Also, while we're watching this kind of do its thing here too, earlier tonight we posted our, and you can see it testing the print bed itself. We printed our YouTube short that we were focusing on games that were not put on the Nintendo 3DS that should have been from the Virtual Boy. And yeah, I really don't understand why Nintendo did not put games from the Virtual Boy on the 3DS. It seemed like a no-brainer to me. Krillin also uses a Retrobit Originate and uses it on an Analog NT Mini. I know it doesn't look like the printer's doing anything right now. It's actually moving in very small increments, just doing its calibration. All of this we used to have to manually with, like, the biggest pain in the butt was setting the difference between the height of the nozzle and the print bed. So there you can see it's actually cleaning the nozzle, going against that thing on the back. You know, it's called the Z offset. It's basically the difference. Wow, that's loud. These fans move a lot of air. But setting the distance between the print bed and the bottom of the nozzle, it was a science. And, you know, I mentioned Chuck Hellebuck earlier. Chuck made a brilliant tool to set your Z offset and to level out your bed. And it just, the fact that this does that all now automatically for you is fantastic. Now, one of the last things we will do is, and I will show you the app on my phone while this is kind of doing its thing, is this is the Creality Cloud app. Let me turn my brightness down, that way I'll be able to hopefully see it a little bit easier here. Come on, there we go. And basically within here, you know, I can check and see what I have on my different printers. Like right now I have, it'll bring up the camera here for my Ender 3 V3 in just a second. And there it is in the workshop itself. And you know, I'm seeing some white boogers on the bottom of the nozzle. That tells me just that there's some leftover filament in there from when they tested this out at the factory. Now, the cool thing about the app like this and Bambu Studios too is the fact that I can monitor my print from my phone. I can start and stop prints from my phone or my tablet as well. And you know, it's just been a brilliant and lovely thing to have as just a way to make sure that if, you know, print failures happen, they just do. This way I can stop a print that's failing and not waste a ton of filament. Now it's going through and checking the four corners of the bed, and then we'll probably from there come through and do a full bed level. Now again, if you are interested in getting set up with a 3D printer, now you can see it's, you know, basically doing the individual points here. I do have a link down below in the description to take you to Sain Smart's product page for this. In addition to the K1C, they also have the K1, the K1 Max, the Ender 3 V3 SE, Ender 3 V3 KE, and the Ender 3 V3 Plus, or whatever the big version is. They've got those listed there, and you know, that is an affiliate link, so if you do pick one up through that link, it does help the channel. But I will tell you, Sain Smart have been great partners of the channel here over the course of the last 8 to 12 months or so, and you know, I really appreciate them helping us be able to bring stuff like this to you. I don't know if you heard it there, but there was kind of a dink where the chain hit the side of the lid, which that shouldn't happen. Should not happen. But thankfully, like I say, there are files out there that you can print a riser for that lid to eliminate that and provide the extra clearance that you'll need, Clarence. Any final questions as we're kind of getting to the end here? Like I say, there's not a whole lot more as it goes through and does its final calibrations. Our first print up is actually going to be, we'll do a benchy, but then we're also going to do the side holder here as well. What got me into 3D printing? Good question, Krillin. So I had been thinking about it for a number of years, and it's one of those things that in the RC industry, we had a 3D printer in our office in California. Let's see, self-check is complete, which is awesome. And they printed on a material called SLA, which is very brittle, but it's good for like checking to make sure all the pieces fit versus going to injection molding. We're gonna shut the door here, shut the front door. So I had wanted to get into 3D printing for a while, but they were just stupid expensive. And then you guys have heard me talk about, you know, our Disney trips and stuff. We've got a ton of you know, Disney ears that we bought over the years. That rhymed. I didn't even mean it to. So I wanted a display stand for that. And quite honestly, the other thing that really got me into it is I wanted to make, and I'm going to grab this from over here, maybe, I hope, and not disconnect the camera, which is possible to happen. one thing I really wanted to make, and I had not seen anyone else do it, was I wanted to make that. And that is my, the first thing I ever designed was my Discoon inspired Famicom Disk System case, or holder, I mean. And so what I ended up doing was I just saved the money for stuff that I wanted that I saw on Etsy that could be 3D printed. And after a while, I just bought my own printer. So yeah, there's that. We're going to bump this up here. Hopefully, again, we don't disconnect the camera. And move that over there. And come back over here. And you know what? We'll start the benchy. What the hell? So to do this, what we need to do is take the filament that we got sent, and we're going to just snip the end there. And it's one of the big things about feeding filament into these filament runout sensors is you need to kind of do it at a 45-degree angle to make sure that it doesn't get hung up. So we're going to do that. I'm going to feed that up through here. That actually fed through fairly nicely. It's one of the things, Creality's filament runout sensors are a pain in the butt. Okay. All right, now we are in the nozzle. And we're going to come around here. And we are going to apply just a little bit of glue on the bed. And then what I do is I will take either a putty knife or this is a bed scraper, kind of even that out and distribute that across the entire bed, or at least through as much of the print area as I can. And now I'm going to go here. Are there any preloaded? There are preloaded files. So we have the Delta filament barrel base. I don't know what that is. The logo filament barrel base. Oh, that must be the stuff for the side. We're going to do the benchy, and it just looks like a ship. And we are going to hit print, and it says it should take this, I think it said about 16 minutes. So it'll go through and do its calibration and get everything printed from there. Now, with some filaments, you do have to make sure that you keep the print area temperature controlled. With PLA, what we're printing with here doesn't matter. Let's see. Okay, we can open up the Airbnb to teach you stuff. Let's see. Thanks, Dave. I want your feedback on how you thought that the installation process of the Region Free Kit went. Let's see. I see you've been playing some Super Game Boy on your Super Nintendo Junior. I was doing. What was I doing with that? There was some video I was working on that I had to have that in there. So, quite honestly, I'm also just one of those where I leave games in there. So, let's see. Stu never owned one. Feel like I would need to stay with Gary for a week in order to be able to wrap your head around it. Deal. Come on over. Yeah. For suggestions, I mean, check out Sain Smart's Amazon storefront, and you know, there are people who have dogged Creality over the years. The thing is, no manufacturer has been cloned more than Creality. I don't know that any manufacturer has had more units out in the wild than Creality. Well, we are going to close that because that's loud. You know, the Ender 2 series definitely got long in the tooth. But these new, the Ender 3s and the K1s and the K series, it's a different level of machinery. It's just amazing what these can do. So let's see, it is cooling the print bed from 100 and whatever it was to, or I'm sorry, that's the nozzle down to 150 degrees. Now the fans have kind of cooled their jets, no pun intended. Boots and cats and boots and cats and boots and cats. Now the display did just go out. That's normal. It has, I think, a 2-minute timeout. Ask, is a filament coolness? Okay, so it's not a filament cooler. What it is it is a drying machine. So certain filaments, when they all attract moisture, right? Some filaments are more negatively affected by it than others. So PETG filament, if it gets moisture in it, you're going to have a bad time. It's going to be like you went ahead and pizza'd when you should have French fried, if that's what the thing from South Park was. I have a dual filament dryer, so it'll dry 2 spools at a time. I tend to go through filament fast enough that it's not an issue. I also tend to print in PLA or PLA plus more than PETG. So the one nice thing about those filament dryers is, especially for this machine, I can put the filament dryer next to the machine, so I don't necessarily have to use that mount on the side if I wanted to. So it's an option. I know who is a Polymaker, I think, just came out with a new one that looks great. I just, like, I go through filament fast enough that it's not an issue for me. And again, I'm printing in PLA, so let's see. Any other questions? As this is, again, it does, and this is one of the neat things, is it goes through this calibration before every print. Now, I can disable that. I'd rather take the 5 or 6 minutes to have it recalibrate each time. That way I'm sure that, you know, I'm printing on as level of a bed as possible. And while we're waiting on this to do its thing, we're going to get some cleaning up going here too, because, yeah, I done stepped on something over here that made a mess. And quite honestly, too, garbage comes tomorrow, so, yeah. But, like, you know, that fell. That fell. So try to kind of get that sort of almost maybe cleaned up. You know, if I would have had it anchored to the wall, that wouldn't have happened. I'm just throwing that out there, too. No one ever accused me of being smart. And again, so this is printing just with the Creality filament. I'm going to actually grab, while this is doing that, I'm going to go into the 3D printer room here, and I'll grab the box, or not the box, but the filament dryer here, so you can kind of see what that looks like too. And I mean, really, it's the neat thing about this too is not only is it good for drying, it's good for storing as well. And that's what this guy here is. And this is an older model, and it just has 2 ball bearing supported rollers on each side, and the filament just spins on that, exits through the top, and then will go right into the machine itself. So, and you can take this and, you know, plunk it on either side, and it'll be good to go. I'm glad that I did not have my mini up here when I made it fall, because that would have made me a sad panda. It sounds like it's printing now. It's trying to. Now, I did not extrude filament ahead of time, so I don't know that this is going to print. It may not. Yeah, I'm seeing this being pretty gummed up here coming out of the nozzle, so we're going to cancel this printout. And like I say, I'm not entirely surprised based on what I was seeing on the bottom of the nozzle. So we are going to stop that. The old school gamer, it seems, okay, like if you have a lot of patience when you're working with 3D printer, then you are waiting on things to print. Well, so here's the thing, and I was talking to someone about this the other day, is the fact that, you know, a lot of people think, well, the machine does all the work, so why do you feel that you're, like, you should be paid for the value of what people charge for stuff? The print isn't where the expense is. The expense is in the time to do the design. I'm going to grab a brush here. We're going to brush off the bottom of that nozzle. We're going to extrude a little bit more filament as well, just to make sure that everything is as it should be. And I'm going to grab this for you too while I'm in this other room, because this is like one of the coolest things that I've 3D printed. So, little fidget spinner, beautiful rainbow colors. This is something that the filament is that color, and it's spinning on the filament. There's no bearings or anything like that in there. It just, there's so much cool stuff you can do with 3D printing now. So we're going to go and settings. We're going to extrude with. The nice thing, the menu on here is exactly like what my K1 is. So we are going to extrude. Yeah, we have done, my whole philosophy has always been to be the advocate for someone who isn't here, and to ask the questions that they would ask, and to show things that they would want to see. I would love a 3D printer metal fidget spinner. Metal 3D printers are coming. Those are going to be expensive. That's all I can say about that. So now it is actually somewhat extruding. It's blobbing out here. There you can kind of see the snot coming out of there. Now, for some people, I would not recommend touching filament as it comes out of the nozzle, because it is coming out at over 200 degrees. I don't care at this point. I've burned myself so much on 3D printers that it hasn't really affected things. And we shall restart the benchy print. Yeah, I wish Creality would have done something to improve that lid, but I mean, it is what it is. Actually, I should not have done that while it was starting. Probably caused it to freak out a little bit. I'm going to stop and we're going to restart it. And you can turn the light on and off if you want to. Turn the fan on and off. Yeah, those fans. One of the biggest advancements in 3D printing has been the cooling on the parts. And that's really what's made it possible to, hey Jay, made it possible to get these super high speeds. Make sure you subscribe to Square Pegs. He actually does regular content that's good. Yes, Krillin has touched hot filament before. He knows how it feels. The worst that I ever did one time, I was soldering a motor into a like a NASCAR type oval pan car, and I was soldering in my lap, and I had a blob of solder drop from the motor I was soldering into. If this would be my foot, it would be between the webbing between my big toe and that toe. Oh, that hurt like hell. Yes, make sure you subscribe to Jay. He does, or not Jay, Stu. Sorry for the insult, Stu. He does more regular content than I do as well. So now we should be doing its thing here. Yeah, I forgot. It basically does a purge line on the left-hand side of the printer that I had forgotten to clean off after the first failed attempt. And that's my own fault for that failure too. Normally I will do that extrude at the beginning of a print after I change filament. And I didn't think to do that initially. Now, dimensionally speaking, this and the standard K1 exactly the same size. The baser on the print bed here, the K1 does not have it stylized like that. Blind taste test wise, I mean, if you took this and stuck it next to a K1, you probably couldn't tell a whole lot of difference. But yeah, this will be, I will use that filament that it came with here to, and I've used Creality filament. It's decent. This is not just because they sent me the print. This is legit. I really like the Sain Smart high-speed PLA. I've used it quite a bit. I will say one thing as well is that unlike earlier printers where like your brand of filament really made a huge difference, the printers are getting to be so neutral isn't the right phrase, but they're less sensitive, so you don't have to worry as much about tuning for your filament. I started out using Hatchbox, and Hatchbox is great. I'm gonna shut that for now. Hatchbox is great filament. The problem is it's super expensive. From Hatchbox, I went to oh goodness, what's the other one that I've been using, or that I have been using? King Room. That's what it is. King Room. Is that your JVCXI I've got hooked up in the back? Yeah, I didn't realize that it was on, and for some reason my switch turned on, and my HDMI switcher box will switch to whatever input is active. And then so when the switch turned off, for some reason it switched to my RetroTink 5X, which I didn't realize my XI was still on. I thought that it would have kicked over to the Mega Retron. So even though it's not doing the calibration, I was doing some initial checks here. So I think it's going to level the bed here, or is it going to purge? What you going to do? What you going to do with all that junk up in your trunk? It's heating up now for up to 220 degrees. The bed is only 45 degrees. Nuh-uh, we're going to go 65 degrees on that. That's one of the issues a lot of times with bed adhesions. People just have their print beds too cold. Yes, that purge. Okay, you just saw it push the lid up. That's just... Oh, I hate the fact that it does that. Creality, get your act together. Now, this is printing at standard speed. Let's go to ludicrous speed. Let's see. Because I know I can change the speed. Screen off. We're going to set that. No setting. Self-track route. Network camera. No, that's not what I wanted. There is a way to adjust the print speed. There we go. We're going to go to... So let's do this first. I'm going to go through all the speeds. So quiet mode. So that slows everything down. Turns the fan speeds down. It still makes noise. Quiet mode is not quiet. There's 100%, which is where we were at. Now you can hear how the fans picked up speed. But we are going to go to 125% because we can. we've gone plaid. All right, I'm going to zoom in here because this is too cool not to give you a closer look at. She's flying apart, Captain. Then fly her apart! I have printed something close to plaid. Okay, and this is real-time print. Like, I'm not accelerating footage. You can see my hand here. It's going normal speed. It's crazy to see these things go at full tilt boogie. And I'm going to go home. How far along are we? We're already 7% into this print. And it should take another 13 minutes. By the way, Stu, the oh my, is that in response to the flyer part then? Because that would be an appropriate response. Have I printed with PLA Pro? PLA Pro and PLA Plus, pretty much the same thing. Yes, I have. I like it a lot. The one thing I don't like about it is just the expense. You know, PETG has really come down in cost. Like I just picked up 2 spools of black PETG the other day for like $12.99 a kilogram. And for PLA, you know, standard PLA has even come down. I picked up 3 spools of that the other day for $10.99 each. So I think the exotic filaments are still, and I don't even think PLA Plus or PLA Pro is that exotic. I think it's the new flavor of the day. So they're charging what they think they can get for it. I won't buy it on a regular basis until it makes sense. Looking at this nice color extreme green for a potential project I wanted to talk to you about later. Yeah. Look at, like I say, look at Sain Smart's colors. I think that they have beautiful colors and they work really, really well. Their TPU, their flexible filament here, let me grab this. There it is. I do have one here. So I'm going to back this out. Excuse me while I back this out. So this is printed in their red TPU, and TPU is basically just their flexible, like, wonk, wonk, wonk. It's a cell phone case for my S24 Ultra. And we are already 17% in, which is crazy how fast this is. And I actually printed out another version of this where I actually did a color change on the back, and my wife wanted her favorite Bible scripture on it, so I ended up being able to do that. Yeah, their filaments are fantastic. A little bit pricier, but you get what you pay for. When I'm looking at filament, I pretty much look, my 3 filaments I go to on the regular is Hatchbox, is just, it's good stuff, but it's expensive. Sain Smart is less expensive than Hatchbox, and in my opinion, just as good of a quality. And then King Rune is probably what I print more of than anything else, and that's mostly for price. Yep, you can get flexible filaments. You can also get filaments that are glow in the dark, which are pretty cool. I want to do a Ghostbusters one for Korgs coming up and try to do some glow in the dark white filament that will turn green. I think that'd be pretty cool. 10 minutes to go. I mean, it's insane in the membrane how fast this printer is. Now, as far as my print farm, this will essentially take the place of my K1, and then the K1 will take the place of the Ender 3 V3, and the Ender 3 V3 will kind of be the, not last, but like out of my Core XY, Core XZ printers, that will probably be the last one that I end up going to. Although it prints out my region-free mod kits really well. I've got that dialed in. Oh, another thing I 3D printed. Wedding ring. Wah, 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 wah. So with that, my wedding ring that I have, that I actually, my good wedding ring, shall we call it, it's actually my dad's. And before he passed away, he gave it to me. And it's something I cherish. And when I got married, I wanted to use it. And when we bought this house here, I actually cracked it on the bottom here when I was replacing a faucet in our bathroom. And I went to get it resized at the same time I got it repaired. And, well, let's just say that I got it resized a little bit smaller than I needed to. And the fact it's an heirloom piece such as that, I just didn't want to risk it getting damaged. So I will wear that like on anniversaries, special holidays, things along those lines to make sure that it stays in good shape. And this is just my beat around ring that that I have that I print. I had bought a, what's the silicone ring brand? I get emails from them all the time. What is it called? Why can I not think of it? Not Enzo. Crud, what is that called? Well, regardless, there's... Yeah, it is Enzo. E-N-S-O. I was thinking Enzo as an E-N-Z-O, and like Enzo Amore from formerly of WWE. And I had one of those for a couple of years, and I just wore it out, and I'm like, I've got the filament, I'll just do this. My wife also recently, almost a year ago now, had gastric bypass, and she's lost a lot of weight and doesn't want to send her ring in yet to get resized until she pretty much hits her goal weight. So I just printed out a new ring for her the other day. That's two-tone color that she absolutely loved. So let's see. I have some glow blue. It's pretty good. Surprisingly bright. Yeah, the glow-in-the-dark stuff is really cool. I've got a couple of things. Was it glow-in-the-dark TPU? It may have been. Yeah, it was. It was my first prototypes that I printed of that case. I did in glow-in-the-dark, and it was actually really, really neat. Matter Hackers, I've heard is good stuff. I have not used it myself. I want to try Jesse PLA. I've heard really good things about that. On my Bambu printers, on my AMSs, I have recently printed out the Hydra mod on one of the two that I have, and so I can use more like cardboard and other filaments. Not Gonzo, what am I thinking of? Gizmo Dorks. I used their TPU in the past, that works really well. This thing is crazy. We have 6 minutes to go and it's 54% done. Now, I did mention that this does have a built-in camera. It's actually right over here and kind of shoots that way, looking at the build plate itself. I'm also really happy right now, too, the fact it's not a textured bed. The fact that this, knock on wood, well, this is plastic, but, we have not had any adhesion issues for this print. The only issue was initially I did not purge the filament. Let's see. I'd be able to print out a cool flexible covering for an OG switch dock. Yes and no. So here's the thing with flexible filament like this, is the fact that unless you're going to manually swap out the filament, you can't do multicolor with it. So that's where that is a bit of a pain. I've actually designed a switch light dock that allows you to charge in something that looks like a traditional switch dock. So, I mean, I've looked into it. There are some cool designs out there. Like I've seen some people have like crystals that come out from the front of their switch dock and what. There's so much. This is the first step into getting Star Trek style replicators. Now, here's one of the tough parts is looking through the hole on the front of the bow, you know, whether or not it works well on that or if you get any stringing. Because here's the thing with 3D printing is you can't print over thin air. Let me know too if I'm loud, if you guys can hear me okay over the fans. So with the fact that the hull holes or the viewport holes, there's no support material there. Let's see, here, fine, okay. Thanks, Dave. You know, you can a lot of times get stringing or otherwise where the print will sag and fail there. This didn't do it at all, and part of the reason for that is simply the cooling going through to the print, that basically it's not that it was cooled off, but it wasn't still as molten as it was being laid down. The fun thing on these with the benchies, like I say, this is the default go-to calibration print that just about everybody uses. I've talked to Ben Heck a little bit. I didn't talk to him this year at Midwest Gaming Classic, but last year I talked to him a bit about 3D printing and some of the stuff that he does with benchies and just to screw around and be fun with it is he's just a cool guy. B, he's a really sharp guy. 3 minutes to the pass, chef. We are 76% in. Now, the printing at 125% speed, I'm interested to see how, so it'll actually print a smokestack on top of the captain's cabin here in a second. So I want to see how that goes. Smart as paint. Huh? I don't understand. But I am going to zoom you in here. So it just started printing the bridges to go through the 4 pillars. Oh, I will admit I have never seen Muppet Treasure Island. I have had an issue watching the Muppets ever since Jim Henson died. It's not the same. And I know it's dumb. Not the same. Even though I know that you should light the rat, not the lamp. And again, this is real-time speed. I'm not accelerating any. I mean, I don't know that you could accelerate something like this on a live stream, so it's crazy just to see how fast this thing goes. Oh, and I know that there have been many Muppet movies that are in the spirit of the originals. We didn't just lose Jim Henson that day. We lost Kermit. We lost a lot of characters. So, yeah. Now it's going through doing the last couple layers on the top of the cabin. This is crazy. I kind of want to make my OG Switch dock that makes it look like an NES. You know, a Switch dock that would look like a top loader would actually be kind of cool. Hi ho, Kermit the Frog here. Why are there so many songs about rainbows and what's on the other side? There you go. That's my rainbow connection for Kermit. Although technically I should be more of a GNU. With all the GNUs, that is good GNUs. Now, if you get that reference, you're old. That was passable. Yeah, thank you. It's also better than the current guy. Yeah. Yeah, I would have to sit down. That would be an after Korgs type of project. And I'm looking forward to, they haven't announced me for that yet, but I'm looking forward to being there. I've talked to Gary, and I have made some cool stuff, some light box. It's doing the smokestack now. Oh, it's going to be so cool. And I'll pop it off in a little bit here after it cools and when it's done. It has been printing for 16, well, the entire print process is 16 minutes at this point, but that includes the initial setup and calibration. So I think the actual print time, we're only at about 12 minutes here. Now, from here, even without my glasses, I can see some artifacting on the bottom here of the print. But again, at a 12-minute benchy, perfectly acceptable. It's done. Now, the one thing I don't know is if this printed with what's called a brim. And a brim is basically something that it's a layer that goes around and underneath the model to help it stick to the print bed. So let us see. There is our print right there. And we're going to, one of the cool things, I'm going to back you out. You can just flex the build plate. Careful, it is hot, and it did print with the brim. I can feel it on there now. And I just, shut up. So the brim is just kind of this extra little piece on the bottom that I hate printing with brims because they can often be a pain to get off on the bottom of the bottle. But looking at it, and I'll try to get you here too. There we go. So you can see a lot of print lines on it, so it's not as smooth as it should be. But like, here's the thing, looking at it, there's no wispiness, there's no hairs, there's no fibers hanging out here. So for a 12 or 13 minute total print, like I have a ton of these that I basically print and then give to my youngest daughter, and she is going to love having this. Now, again, you can see how this shifted the top of the shell off when it started printing because the chain hits that. I'm going to print the riser for this so that we can go ahead and make sure that that doesn't happen again. There is, let me just look here in the light. I'm going to bump up the camera a little bit because it's a little low. I'm feeling mighty low. Old Looney Tunes reference there for you. No, there is not a single wisp of extra filament and whatnot on this guy here. So it printed beautifully. There is a CT3D.XYZ lettering that prints on the bottom. It wouldn't show up on camera. It's one of those that if I printed it without the brim, it may have showed up. But this is a nice machine. I'm digging it. It seems like they've made some good quality of life improvements to it. Having that nozzle design with that, that unicorn style where, it's metal all the way through versus having that PTFE tube. That will definitely be nicer in the long run. The extruder, the gears, like I mentioned earlier, have definitely been refined. Has the air filtration system on here. It does have the wiper area on the print bed to clean off, the nozzle and everything. So that will be a nice quality of life improvement too. So I think that's going to wrap it up, as is 11:15. I do actually have to work in the morning. So let me know. We'll give you kind of our 2-minute countdown here. I know I said 2-minute warning earlier, but this is a real 2-minute warning. That if you guys have got any final questions before we wrap things up. I know that there are some folks waiting on some prints as well. Got a bunch of them boxed up tonight. Hopefully get out to the post office tomorrow. So we'll get that going. And we'll have our desk unboxing, assembly, and review. I'm hoping by Wednesday. I've got to shoot about 10 more minutes of footage, edit it down to about 2 more minutes. We're good from there. Thanks, Krillin. Said it was a fun stream. Really enjoyed it. I will say I do like the fact that the filtration system is on the back. I don't know if I can get it out or not. But, when it comes time to replace the charcoal, it's pressed in hard, so I'm not going to fight it. You know, I like the fact that it's there. I don't like the fact that they defaulted again to having the spool of filament. Ooh, excuse me, talking about filters. Don't walk behind me right now. I do wish that they would just put the spool of filament on the side. It's a pain to have to deal with. But other than that, like, I'm looking forward to putting this thing through its paces even more. And, you know, again, seeing the quality of this, and you guys saw, I did no tweak. I haven't even set up Wi-Fi on this yet to connect it to my phone, my computer, my Creality print, to my Orca slicer. So this is the default file as it was sliced from Creality Labs, or Creality, right out of the box. So it's a damn fine print, and that's at 125% speed, so it's printing faster than what it should. And generally, it's diminishing results as far as the faster you go, the lower the quality, and it's damn fine quality. So if you want to pick one of these up, I will have a link down below in the description where you can go ahead and pick one up. It is an affiliate link. Again, I do have to thank Sain Smart for sending us one of these to check out. They've been fantastic partners here on the channel the past few months, and I really do appreciate everything that they have done for us here. Check them out if you're looking to get into 3D printing, if you need accessories. They even have soldering equipment too, so I know that if you are looking for like smoke eaters and things along those lines, soldering irons, that they can get you set up there as well. But until next time, I'm not trying to be rude here, but we're all going to be checked out. Go on.